Welcome, Ayubowan. So today in our vocabulary lesson, we're going to focus on linking words. Now, linking words are mainly used for task 2, and as you know, even if you're doing academic IELTS or general IELTS, either one, you could review this lesson, right? Because for task 2, all of you would be getting an essay task, and I hope you've gone through that in the writing module. So in this one, I'm going to focus on the words that you could use, and that would help you to start maintaining a vocabulary list that would help you in this specific task, right? Alright, so what are linking words, right? Now, some people call these signposting words, some people call these linking words. So linking words, as you can see in the picture that I've put up here, are words that help you link ideas together, or words that help you link paragraphs together when you do your task 2. Linking words are also known as discourse markers, connecting words, or transition words, or signposting words. So whichever one or whichever word you see, they all mean the same. Now, they are essential for IELTS writing task 2 to obtain a high score in your academic as well as your general IELTS exam. You will be assessed on your range and flexibility of using these linking words in various contexts throughout your report. Report is your task 1 as well as your task 2. It will help you to score 25% of your marks because coherence and cohesion, which is a marking criteria in your task 2, would add up to 25% of your total marks, right? Now, to go through the marking criteria, please have a look at the writing module, right, where I discuss this more in detail. Linking words and phrases are used to connect your ideas and sentences while you write. They can also help you to connect your paragraphs together, as I mentioned before. You can also use them in your speaking. The significant difference between linking words used in the speaking and writing task is that writing linking words are more formal, right? Because obviously when you speak, you don't use formal words to that level, right? So when you speak, you would still use linking words and they would be a bit different to the ones that you actually write. Some could, you could use the same, but some words you actually can't use in your speaking, right? Right, so in short, what do these linking words do? They actually make your paragraphs much clearer and they provide cohesion in your written piece or your task that you write. It helps you illustrate how different parts are connected and they add more information to a point. It helps you express the purpose or your opinion of your writing, and it also helps you to construct a suitable conclusion. Linking words are an excellent grammatical and stylistic tool, right? And this makes your writing or speech much clearer, and it shows your level of fluency and how well you can write cohesively or how well you can speak, connecting your ideas together. So using a wide range of linking words is good, but don't overuse it or underuse it. So that is a part of your marking criteria as well, right? If you memorize it and overuse it, that is a problem. If you underuse it, again, it's a problem. So what do I mean by this? You should use linking words naturally, not memorize something and just put it there, right? So lots of people or lots of students I see, they memorize it. Right? And they haphazardly, just like a robot, they use it. And then, we find it very weird. Okay, so when we're reading a piece of writing, I say, however, furthermore, hence, therefore. So it's like they just use it, but their natural way of writing is quite different. So don't memorize and put these words. I mean, yes, you have to take it into your mind, right? But you should use it naturally in your writing. right? So don't overuse it, don't underuse it, don't just use it by memorizing it. Try to write a lot and make it a natural habit for you to use linkers naturally, okay? Right, so here are some of the linking words that you could use for listing, right? So listing is usually when you want to put the ideas in order. Sometimes used for task 1, especially when you're writing a process. Firstly, secondly, next, thereafter, finally, right? So here are some of the words you could use. Next one, when you want to add information, okay? So you've written a piece of information, but you want to add some additional information, additional details, right? Extra information that you want to add or you want it to be presented. Then you could use words like also, moreover, furthermore, in addition, additionally, and as well as. Okay, so as well as, I'd prefer if you could use it in the middle, right? I like to read this as well as this. You know, you kind of put both. So you add a bit of more information. Okay? Right. Next one, when you want to give examples, right? So you write something and then you say, okay, this is a typical example. So you could use, for example, to illustrate, in other words, such as, for instance, right? So some of the words you could use. Just because I do it in a lesson, that doesn't mean that you use everything, please, right? Use words that you are comfortable with and then try to practice using it many times so it blends in naturally to your writing, okay? Now, all of us have a specific writing style, okay? I keep on saying this because I've seen students doing this many times, right, throughout my teaching years. So that's why I really want to stress on this. Please do not randomly just put these words, okay? Writing, you have to practice. All of you have a natural style of writing. Improve that natural style of writing, okay? So results and consequences. So in your solution essays, cause and effect essays, now don't worry if you don't know this. Please refer to the writing module again. I teach you the different types of essays, okay? So in that, I teach you that there are 5 different types of essays. Let me quickly tell you a bit here, the 5 types only, because if you're watching this video, you wouldn't know it, right? So usually the vocab should be done before your writing session, but in case, just to touch on this, so what you should be doing is you have 5 types of essays, right? We have argumentative or opinion essays, and then you have discussion essays, you have advantage, disadvantage style essays, you have cause and effect essays, and then you have direct, some people say direct essays, okay? So here, if you have solution essays, cause, effect, and solution, part of that is solution essays. Cause, you have to write the cause, you have to write the solution, right? And why this happened. So they give you a problem, what caused it, what is the effect of it, and what kind of solutions can you take, okay? So for those kind of essays, you could use these words to talk about the consequences, right? Therefore, thus, hence, consequently, as a result, for this reason. So these are some of the words that you could use, right? Highlighting and stressing. So sometimes when you write your essay, you want one point to be really highlighted because we say, okay, highlight the idea. When we say highlight the idea, we don't mean to highlight it by taking a highlighter. No, you have to highlight it by using words. So how do you do that? You do that by using words like this. If you want to stress on a particular point or an idea, you could use words like particularly, especially, obviously, of course, clearly, in particular, right, specifically. So those ones you could use. Concessions and contrasts, right? So sometimes you would need to give opposite ideas. And if so, you would want to kind of link your ideas together, right? So if you want to give exceptions, if you want to show a different view, okay, the other side of a certain problem or an idea, then you could use some of these words. However, but, so those are the common ones. Even though, despite, right? By contrast, on the other hand, alternatively, right? Nevertheless. So those are some of the words you could use, right? Reasons and causes. So I told you that if you want to write down a cause or a reason, because you have cause and effect style essays which have the solutions as well, right? Now there, you could definitely use words like because, owing to, due to, since, as, right? So here are some of those words. Giving your opinion, when you want to tell the reader that this is your view, right? And when you want to personalize it, because in opinion essays or argumentative essays, they would ask you to give your opinion, okay? Do you agree? Yes or no? You could answer. To what extent do you agree? So do you agree completely? Do you disagree completely? Or do you agree partially? Okay. So the third type would be your opinion, right? So you have to write your opinion. Now these three different types of questions come under opinion or argumentative essays, right? So then you have to clearly show the reader or your examiner that this is your view, right? So you could use words like in my opinion, I think, in my view, I disagree, I completely disagree, I partially disagree. So you could write different words and phrases. Concluding linkers usually used in concluding paras or in the conclusion, right? In conclusion, to conclude or to sum up, right? Okay, so practice question 1. Categorize the following linking words and phrases by their function. So example, adding a new point. Which one would you use for adding a new point? Okay, results, reason, for that reason, summary, example, right? Which ones would you use? Now example, in conclusion would be summary, okay? So, can you write down the others? For instance, would be example. I'm just doing a few for you. What you have to do is go back. If you can't remember, pause the video from here and then go back, right? And see these words and put them into the relevant category. Okay, so I'll give you a few minutes and then we'll discuss the answers. Right, so coming back, I hope you've done it. So let's have a look at the answers. Reason, for that reason, example, adding a new point, result, adding a new point, reason, summary. Okay, so if you were confused, if you're not sure, again, I would advise you go back and see where the words fall under which category and then come and review this again. Okay, right. Practice question 2. Fill the gaps below using the best linking words to match the following sentences. So let's have a look at one first, okay? I'll do it with you and then the rest I'd like you to do it. So if you have watched my beginner and intermediate levels, in those levels I give you a lot of support, right? But when you come to the advanced level, I want you to work more independently, right? So it would be more of you working and me then discussing the answers, right? Whereas or while or but, individuals can make a considerable difference to environmental problems. They ought to be dealt with on a global scale to be solved effectively, right? So seems like not but, because it's not a different view. But while they are doing this, they also need to do that. So I would say for this one, while. Okay. Next one. Global warming is a prominent issue these days. It has a direct impact on the climate of countries all over the world. So why is it a prominent issue? Because it has. Next one. Blank of global warming, sea levels are rising which threaten many low-lying lands, right? So global warming, because of that, right? The sea levels are rising and that is a threat for us, right? So not consequently, not thus. Okay, if you don't know the meaning, then go and refer back the list that I just put up for you in the lesson, right? So as a result, of global warming, what is happening? The sea levels are rising, right? Next one of the best ways to deal with global warming is to reduce the emission of fossil fuels from industries, right? So what are we supposed to do? To reduce this global warming problem, we have to reduce the emission of fossil fuels. Where? Particularly from industry, okay? Particularly. Right. Last one. Global warming affects weather patterns and can cause extreme weather, heat waves, droughts, and floods. Okay. So it's not one example, but which one? Can cause extreme weather, namely heat waves, droughts, floods, or can you say like heat waves, droughts, floods? So think about it and jot down the answer and then I'll put up the answer. So here you have a few heat waves, droughts and floods. So I would go namely, okay? Namely, heat waves, droughts and floods, okay? Right. Practice question 3. What you're supposed to do? Fill in the gaps below using the best linking words to match the following sentences, right? So again, we've done a lot of linking words before I came into this activity. So I want you to have a look at those and try to complete these gaps, right? Take a few minutes and do it on your own, and then I will discuss the answers. All right, so I hope you would have completed it by now, right? I don't need to read out the question for you because you can read by now, right? And you should be fluent with what you are reading because we're in the advanced level and this is where we're trying to look at practice activities to increase our IELTS score, right? So here, hopefully you've completed all 6 questions. Let's have a look at the answers, even though admittedly due to or owing to. You can't use because it's at the beginning of a sentence and I taught you this. I told you that you can't use because at the start of a sentence when you're doing academic pieces of writing, okay? Particularly, especially, specifically, despite, therefore, so, for this reason, right? So if you are confused, you've written another word and you're not sure, please feel free to drop a comment and then I could reply, okay? So if you're not sure, please put a comment, right? All right, so our 4th practice question, right? Below is a high band example essay. Choose the correct linking word or phrase from the box to complete the gaps, right? So this is a typical extract from a student who would get a high band for his or her essay, okay? But we've kind of removed the linking words, right? So what I really want you to do is complete the gaps, right? Now, before we do everything, let's have a look at the first one. Issues related to animal experimentation are frequently discussed these days, particularly in the media. It is often said that animals should not be used in testing because, on the other hand, therefore, furthermore, indeed, for instance. The reason is why? Because it is cruel and unnecessary, right? This essay will examine the arguments for and against animal testing. So this essay is about animal testing, and this was the introduction. So then we move on into the first body para. Take a few minutes and see if you could do it on your own. Alright, so hopefully you've done it. Now let's check the answers. I would start this by saying, on the one hand. On the one hand, the people who support these experiments say that we must do tests on animals. Many famous life-saving drugs. Okay, for instance, many famous life-saving drugs were invented in this way, and animal experiments may help us to find more cures in the future. Possibly even a cure for cancer and AIDS. Indeed, possibly even a cure for cancer and AIDS. Furthermore, the animals which are used are not usually wild but are bred especially for experiments. Therefore, they believe it is not true. Therefore, they believe it is not true that animal experiments are responsible for reducing the number of wild animals on the planet. Okay, so see if you've got these answers. And then let's move on into the next one. And I want you to complete this, right? Try it on your own and then let's discuss the answers. Off you go. All right, so I hope you would have completed it by now. Let's have a look at the answers. So the first one was on the one hand, then this body para, the next one should be the opposite view, right? So on the other hand, others feel that there are good arguments against this. First and foremost, animal experiments are unkind and cause animals a lot of pain. In addition, they feel that many tests are not really important, and in fact, animals are not only used to test new medicines but also new cosmetics, which would be tested on humans instead. Another issue is that sometimes an experiment on animals gives us the wrong result or results, since animals' bodies are not exactly the same as our own. So, what can we say? This testing may not be providing, right? So, it's not in conclusion because we haven't come to the end of the essay. So, we can say as a consequence, this testing may not be providing the safety that its proponents claim, okay? So the last one, and you know I've taught you this before as well, if you want to end the essay, what phrase would you use? Basically, in conclusion. Okay, that's it. All right, so I think with that we have come to the end of this lesson, right, where we had a look at some of the practice questions by completing some gap fills. So you learn how to use linking words in your writing and build up on your coherence and cohesion marking criteria. Now please go through the list that is there in the lesson, because it would help you to use these words in your writing, and then, as I told you before, try to use it naturally in your writing. So a lot of practice is required to do this, right? Just by doing 1 or 2 pieces of writing will not help you. So try to write a lot and get your writings assessed by someone, so you know where you stand before you go for the exam, right? So with that, I think we've come to the end of this lesson where we had a look at linking words, especially for writing task 2.